Hi, so today I would like to share how I learned about dependency injection or service locator, and rather than just using singletons. So it's been 9 months or more that I have been struggling with how to manage dependencies. I need this scripts reference in another, and so many scripts I had. So one thing I did maybe first time was made all the main script to singletons. So and then uh, like audio manager singleton and game manager singleton, some other things. Um, Many 5 6 scripts I made singleton, and they were all like player manager singleton, enemy manager singleton, and they were like communicating with each other. It was really messy and definitely not a good thing to do. Also using singleton means later I realized I cannot unit test, I'm hiding dependencies, and there were so many other problems. So what I rather did was I wanted to search how not to use singletons, and as many people say, it's an anti-pattern if not used very cautiously. Later, I found out something called Service Locator, and what is Service Locator is just one main script will have all the services and all the references, and a script which need it can just ask from the one single script. So that suppose suppose a service locator, its name is a singleton, and suppose game manager has a reference to it, player service has a reference to it, and all other services or other main scripts have reference inside the service locator. And whenever I need any other references from another script, suppose enemy controller need a reference of the audio manager, so I will just go to service locator instance get audio manager, something like that. But again, here what happening is still I'm using one main singleton, and that singleton is providing me with the audio manager, and I'm hiding the dependency of audio manager inside my enemy controller class where I was calling. And so, and then finally I came to know about dependency injection. So I'll talk a little bit more about it. So first I found out in here it is a V container, and uh, this is a framework already made. I was trying to read it a lot, what it does. I really had no idea what it's doing. Tried a lot to understand, but no, nothing was really helping. And then I went to YouTube to start a lot of code. No. I used it through a Unity's sample project, boss room. This is Unity's own sample project, and they used this dependency injection with this vContainer framework. But again, it didn't help me much. I couldn't really understand how everything is working. And then finally, I went to Outscal's Service Locator module. It's inside the game development advanced course, and there I found out the very simple way they have first this generic singleton, first introduction, then the generics, then the service locator, and then the dependency injection. And this is very basic dependency injection, but the way they have explained here step by step really made my base clear, and it made me so easy that after that I made my own dependency injection framework from this Git YouTube channel. He's a senior software engineer and really does a lot of awesome game development, especially game design pattern videos. Here we can see singletons, dependency injection, service locator. So here I learned how to make my own very lightweight dependency injections without even using this thing. It will be the best, but I just used my own. And let me show you how I made it. So this is my tank game that I'm currently working now. Excuse me, this is not needed. So what I did is here I have a dependency provider service. So entity factory container, player data, enemy data, player stat. These all are very single objects that will stay throughout the game. I will not have multiple instances of them, but I want many scripts to have references of this thing. Now one way to do it is to pass these references in their constructor, and if I do that, so for example player service, the player service need entity factory, player data, player stats, player camera, player controller, not player controller but player camera. So all 1 2 3 4, all 4 I had to pass in the player services constructor, and that would be really bad code, smelly code. But what I now do is I made my own dependency injection. I just click the inject keyword, and when the player service is initialized, I get all the references here automatically. So I can see how I did it. So it all starts in the game service. If I go here, the game service is the mono behavior script, and I can see here it has dependency provider, though it's not needed. Just delete it. So what it does at awake, I am creating a player service, and then I'm telling my DI manager singleton to provide the type to register it. So this is the DI manager, and it has a dictionary registry which will have a type and its specific object. So any script suppose any script needs a player service type, a player service reference, so it will just ask for it from this registry, and will get just respective object matching the type. I can show a better way. We can see that at awake what it's doing is it's finding all the mono behaviors that will have high dependency providers, and once it have it, then it can just register the providers, and then it will find all the injectables. First it's finding the providers, the one who provide the dependencies, and then it's finding the injectables where it will put the dependencies. So let's see. In the register provider, we can see that it's checking for the attributes. We have given a provide attribute and inject attribute. Provide attribute it will check, and then it will take the type and will store it in the registry. And in the case of inject, what we can see here, we can see it's just using the mono behavior and checking in all the mono behaviors which have the attributes of inject and provide. Inject in the methods and members. And if it's found, then it will just there you go. It will, for method it will invoke the method, and for field it will just set the value. Yeah, and that's it. And in case of resolving means it will just search for the type in the registry, and then it will return it. That's all is happening here. So if I go to game service right now from where my entire game is actually starting, you can see that it's empty, don't have anything. So here I'm providing the type of player service, it will automatically create an instance. Here we can see activators will create instance, and then it will return the instance as well. And once I'm getting the player service registered, provided in the dependency injection, DI manager registry, and then what I'm doing is in the start method, after all the providers have, so the providers should be provided in awake, and the injectors should start at start. After all the dependencies have been provided, then only we will search for the dependencies and inject them. So that's why in start I am using like DI manager inject player service. So it will just take my player service, search for all the inject attributes, and will put the dependency injection from registry to here. So the best way to do is make your own project and do it, and definitely check out this dependency injection video. It has explained it in the best possible way. Well, for me this is it. I have made player service which may have no constructor, though it needed this many dependencies, and same goes for the enemy service which I can open, and here it is. Same, it needed 3 dependencies, but here we can see it's as a clean constructor. That's how dependency injection helps us in solving the smelly constructor problems.